Welcome to the Victorious Life TV broadcast. I'm Lisa Buldo, and we've got a really special program for you tonight. We're talking about the subject of health. And you know, in order to truly live the victorious life, you've got to be healthy, right? I talk a lot about spiritual health. Last week I talked about renewing the mind. This week we're going to talk about physical health. So I'm super excited because joining us tonight is best-selling author, certified biblical health coach, owner of Heaven and Earth Healing Center, and my good friend, Tonijean Kulpinski. Welcome to the broadcast. I love this girl. How are you?
Right back. Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Oh, it's such an honor to have her here tonight. You are going to be so blessed tonight, so get ready. So I've got some really good questions for you tonight that the viewers are you guys are really going to love this show tonight. So make sure that you share it. So Tonijean is the author of the brand new, newly released book, if you can see this, Stop Battling Disease and Start Building Wellness. This is literally your guide to extraordinary health. And I'll tell you, Tonijean, I love this book so much. It's actually my go-to. I keep it right in my office for if I need to know anything. This is the book. This is the guide. And this is the gal that you want to talk to. Anything about health, you're my go-to. I'm telling you,
honored.
I trust her. I trust her with my life. I really do. I would, family members. It is all him. But he gives us special people who really know their stuff, and you're such a blessing to the multitude. So
thank you so much,
girl.
Lisa.
Oh, thank you.
Right back.
Thanks for being that. We're so mushy, aren't we? So anyway, we're going to dive right in with questions. But before we do, Tonijean, you have a really powerful testimony of your own. Yes. You battled disease, so you're not someone who's just talking. You're somebody that's been through it. Yes. So tell us a little bit about your own testimony and what inspired you to write the book.
Yes. Well, when I was a young girl, about the age of 16, I always had a weight issue, and I yo-yo dieted, which meant I would lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. And I developed a lot of blood sugar issues, panic attacks, migraines. I even had bone loss from doing a lot of fad diets and severe digestive issues. But then when I approached my 20s and 30s, I became a hairdresser and I worked as a colorist, so I was breathing in a lot of chemicals. Oh. And my immune system wasn't where it was supposed to be because of my lifestyle of poor eating. And by the time I was 38 years old, I developed second stage renal cell carcinoma, which is kidney cancer, which was a direct result of my lifestyle and profession. So there were actually traces of hair dye in my kidney. And when I was sick like that, I didn't want to go on living that way anymore. I never felt well. And I remember calling out to God and asking him to show me a better way, because this isn't the body that I felt like I was in a jail cell. This isn't the body that I know that God had for me to live in. And so I called out to the Lord, and he directed me to go to Scripture. And the Bible showed me actual guidelines and principles how to take care of my body. I never knew the Bible was a manual how to take care of your physical body. So I was amazed by what I found, and I started incorporating those principles, and my body started to repair right from the start. And in chapter 1 of my book, it talks about my personal journey and testimony, how I healed myself. So it does go into more detail. And that is why I wrote the book, because I wanted to share this message with the world so people would know that they no longer had to suffer, that God had a better way.
So good. Wow. Praise God. So many people struggle, and I hear, in the physical that one of the biggest things, and I mean, it seems like forever, people have struggled with weight loss.
Yes.
Some people struggle with weight gain,
yes.
But weight loss for the most part, and diabetes. And Tonijean, how can diabetes, and I know that, and you can talk to us about this, but yes. I think a lot of the same things that contribute to diabetes also contribute to weight gain, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to us about how you can reverse, maybe lose some pounds, holidays,
It's a tough
anything.
time.
Yeah, right. So how you can, somebody can lose some weight, but also reverse diabetes.
Well, I'm going to answer it the other way around, actually. We're not supposed to lose weight to get healthy. It really needs to be reversed. We're supposed to get healthy by following God's plan for health and wellness, by eating what God created for food in a form healthy for the body, and the body just gets into balance. The body just recognizes what we're eating when we're eating whole organic foods, unprocessed, mostly raw, humanely raised, and you'll lose weight effortlessly. You won't have to be struggling to lose weight because your hormones start to get into balance. And if you have any blood glucose issues like I had, I was actually pre-diabetic. And even if you are diabetic, once you start eating the right fats and you stay away from processed grains like processed boxed cereals, granola bars, whole grain breads, believe it or not, these are not good foods. And I talk about that under the chapter called Don't Go Against the Grain. So it'll elaborate more. But really, eating food in which God created allows your body to get into balance because your body recognizes what you're eating. And then your blood sugar issues actually start to diminish.
Yeah, and even someone who's thin can have blood sugar issues. It really just depends, right?
Because I suffered from blood glucose issues, blood sugar issues.
You were never
and
overweight.
I was very overweight at the time.
You were?
Yes, I was. But there was also a time where I was underweight, severely underweight because of all the health issues that I had. And I still suffered from blood sugar issues, and that was completely reversed. I am living proof of what eating food in the form God created can do. I live in extraordinary health every day. I don't have a bad day and a good day. I have a good day every day.
And so I just need to ask you, because I know some of the viewers watching might be saying, well, for example, it's pretty obvious, the foods that God created, but would be an example of some unhealthy things?
Well, unhealthy things, we can start with prepackaged foods, like I mentioned a moment ago. Boxed cereals, believe it or not, cannot be healthy because they're adulterated, they're highly processed, they're altered from their origin, which make it more difficult for our bodies to recognize and digest properly. Therefore, we can't assimilate and metabolize the food in that form properly. So it cannot nourish our body. So that's where gas and bloating and inflammation occurs. So you want to stay away from anything boxed or prepackaged. You want to remove anything from your pantry that has too many ingredients, or ingredients that you cannot recognize. Remember, food is the ingredient. So if you are reading words that are long and you can't pronounce them, your body won't recognize them either. Hydrogenated oils, which I talk about in the book, also you want to avoid, like corn oil, soy oil, canola oil. These are some of the deadly poisons that are in our foods. So those would be a lot.
I was just thinking about butter, for example. A lot of people want the fake stuff, but
butter is a superfood. It's God-made. Butter is a superfood, and I talk about butter in my book as well, but it has to be either organic or raw. And I love ghee. Ghee is also another great form of butter. It's a clarified butter, and it's great for your heart, great for your bones, great for your hair and your skin and your nails, and believe it or not, your immune system.
Ghee, and it's spelled G-H-E-E.
Yes.
Yes, awesome. So also, in an attempt to keep the sugar issues at bay, a lot of people use the artificial sweeteners, like the Equal, the Sweet and Low, the Splenda. There's other things, Truvia. I mean, it seems like they keep coming up with these new names.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Well, I used to be one of those people, believe it or not, many moons ago, eating, eating all those artificial sweeteners. But let's kind of break down that word, artificial. That alone should tell us that it's not in the form in which nature provided. So it's not natural. So it's made in a lab. So that alone should tell us that we shouldn't be putting that in our bodies. So aspartame is definitely a highly carcinogenic, genetically modified product that can actually destroy brain cells. There's a lot of people that have memory loss or even Parkinson's disease and different types of brain and neurological dysfunction that come from eating those types of artificial sugar. So they need to be avoided completely from our diets. Completely.
I love that. And so we know that staying hydrated, I mean, we always hear, get your 8 glasses of water. Some people say, no, you only need 6 glasses. What's your take on that?
Well, water is I also talk about water in the book. There's a chapter called Water, the Basis of All Life Force. It's important because it transports nutrients from our food into our cells, but it also exports toxins out of our cells, the toxins that lead to disease. So water has a two-part delivery, so it is critical in our diet every day. However, believe it or not, 6 to 8 glasses of water a day are perfectly fine. But if you really want to get specific, you want to think a half an ounce of water to every 1 pound that you weigh. But also, eating a lot of plant-based foods like fruits and vegetables, specifically fruit, contain a lot of water. So this is also a great way to stay hydrated.
Excellent. Now, fruit breaks down in the body differently than, like, sugar, like bread or something. Is
Much
that right?
differently.
Okay.
I love when someone asks me about fruit. Believe it or not, fruit, and I was pre-diabetic, so fruit is something I eat a lot of, and one of the foods that actually repaired my body. So fruits contain fat, protein, carbohydrate, and fiber, everything that we need, but the sugars break down differently, as Lisa is saying, because they are called polysaccharides. Saccharides means sugar, poly meaning plant-based. So our bodies, our pancreas does not, it doesn't operate the way it would during an episode of having table sugar that's refined and processed. So fruit sugar will actually be very good for a diabetic.
Now, what about at night? Would you say maybe not so much at night? But
Well, not so much because of the fruit. Fruit would be fine at night, but the reason why you don't want to eat at night is because your digestion starts to slow down and gets ready for rest. So you might not be able to digest even fruit at night late. So you really don't want to eat anything at night. And if you do get hungry at night and you really can't curb that, then I would say to actually eat fruit. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. Now, you touched on this earlier, but a lot of people talk to us, a lot of people talk about bloating after meals, eating certain foods.
Yes.
And I just got an email the other day, they're having health issues because there's a lot of bloating and a lot of pain and, after meals.
Yes.
Talk to us, how can we protect our digestive systems and even improve the function?
Absolutely. Well, digestion is something that I hear a lot. So a lot of people do speak to us about that. You're absolutely correct. So digestive problems, a lot of people with digestive problems come to my office often complaining about their gas, their bloating, their rumbling. They don't feel good after they eat, or they don't feel good, period, even while they're not eating. So they don't eat. But the reason for that is because we need enzymes. Enzymes are catalysts to help us digest and break down our food so we can metabolize it. And unfortunately, a lot of the foods that are on the market today, even some organic processed foods, because of the processing, remove all the life force, all the bioactive components, such as enzymes and probiotics. So taking probiotic supplements, there's a great resource section in the back of my book that will tell you about supplements that I suggest, but also eating raw sauerkraut. It has to say raw, not just regular sauerkraut. Pasteurization destroys a lot of the bioactive components, as I'm mentioning, which when you have gas and bloating, then it is a symptom of your food is not being digested properly. So it kind of just stays in there and kind of sits in your colon, and you can't utilize this food. So definitely increasing more probiotic-rich foods like sauerkraut, raw vinegar, raw apple cider vinegar, whole organic yogurts, and kombucha. These are great ways, and eating more fruits and vegetables because they're loaded with probiotics and enzymes.
Now, will that stuff also help with like leaky gut? Like what, you hear about like leaky gut syndrome?
Well,
and
absolutely, because what happens when a person starts getting leaky gut, I mean, they start to actually develop viruses and infections and whatnot. So most people don't actually have leaky gut. But if you're starting to feel rumbling and gassy, it means that your gut wall lining is starting to become very porous. Those are the symptoms that you're feeling because of not having enough good bacteria in your digestive tract. So in a sense, what Lisa is saying, the leaky gut, the gut wall lining becomes so porous it actually breaks open, and then all the bad microbes start to travel into your digestive system as pathogens. And those are called pathogenic bacteria that start to infiltrate your cells, which lead to disease.
Ooh, and that can inflame and break down the immune system.
And break
right?
down the immune system. Ooh. Absolutely, because then the receptor sites of your cells become inflamed.
Wow.
So.
Wow, this is amazing, Tonijean. I'm learning as you're talking, and I love it. Okay, so another thing that a lot of people deal with is, or they're very concerned about cholesterol. high cholesterol. So many people are on statin drugs due to high cholesterol.
Yes.
And so can you talk to us about that and maybe ways to lower cholesterol? Are there natural ways? Is it something that somebody really has to, like, what are the guidelines there?
Well, Lisa, this is one of my favorite topics, and I also have a chapter in the book about cholesterol and fats and oils and so on and so forth, so where I do elaborate more. But one of my favorite topics, because cholesterol, believe it or not, is not the enemy. It's measured in high-density lipoproteins known as HDL and LDL known as low-density lipoproteins. There's no bad and good cholesterol. It's all good. It's manufactured by your liver. Your liver doesn't make a bad and a good anything. It's all good. God doesn't make mistakes. And cholesterol, when it elevates, is actually a repair substance. It's like when you're in a high crime area and you see more police force. It's because they're there to reduce the crime. So in your body, cholesterol elevates, similar to police force, because there's inflammation. So it's an inflammatory marker to reduce the inflammation in your body. So you really don't want to take a statin drug, and this is for educational purposes only. You don't want to go off of your drugs.
Right.
But I do want to say that statin drugs can be very dangerous because they throw off all your corticosteroids, all your other hormones. But when you're thinking of cholesterol specifically, you want to make sure that you're not eating an inflammatory diet, as we're speaking about. And like I said, I'll elaborate more in the book about this topic. But good ways of lowering cholesterol are to reduce the crime or reduce the inflammation, just like the high crime area. We don't want to shoot the police officer. He's our friend. He's there to help us. So we don't want to actually lower the cholesterol without removing the cause foods that are causing your need for more cholesterol. So foods like fruits and vegetables, organic foods, of course, free of pesticides, GMOs, and garlic. Garlic is wonderful for reducing inflammation. Turmeric is wonderful for reducing inflammation. Milk thistle. I mean, there's so much that we can do to reduce inflammation.
And I have a question too, because a lot of times when people have high cholesterol, they're concerned about, the doctors will say, like, don't eat red meat, don't eat red meat. Please talk to us about meat.
I certainly will. Personally, I'm a vegetarian, but that doesn't mean that you can't eat meat.
I'm not.
Mine is for, and there's nothing, I'm going to clarify this right now, there is nothing wrong with eating meat. It is the source, just like all the food that we eat. Even fruits and vegetables can harm us if they're loaded with pesticides and genetic mutations, because they're not from nature. Organic is the origin of the food. But if you are going to eat meat, grass-fed specifically, or pasture-raised chickens, pasture-fed eggs, this is perfectly healthy, and I talk about that in my book. There's a large chapter about this information, giving you the breakdown. In Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14, the Bible speaks of eating these types of clean meats, but they have to be grass-fed and humanely raised, because then there are actually heart-healthy nutrients, like omega-3, okay, which is an anti-inflammatory, carnitine, creatine, conjugated linoleic acid, magnesium, iron, zinc. I mean, these are all heart-healthy nutrients. So, and dietary cholesterol does not raise cholesterol in your blood serum. So just to name a few, you can have grass-fed lamb, grass-fed beef, pastured chickens. This is all perfectly healthy. It is about the source.
Is it more the triglycerides that people have to be concerned about? Like, is that fat in the blood?
That's a great question. I'm going to break down that word for you. Triglycerides. What do we have in there? The word glycerin. Glycerin is actually sugar, is what that means. So it's not so much fat that is going to cause elevation of triglycerides. It's refined sugar, and I don't mean fruit sugar. This is a myth. I almost cry when I hear people not eating fruit because they're afraid of the sugar. Totally different. You need fruit. It's an amazing high vibration food. But back on the triglycerides, when you're eating processed grains like whole wheat bread, box cereals, I mentioned this a little while ago, white pastas,
cookies,
cakes, crackers, and you can have all those things if they are made of the right ingredients. So, there's nothing wrong with any of these things. I bake and cook and do raw cooking as well. I make everything, but it's all of the right source of ingredients. So what will elevate your triglycerides is anything that turns to sugar in the body in the form of refining, like processed grains. So that's something that you want to be very, very careful with. Also, table sugar, white sugar, sugar in the raw. This is not good.
Sugar in the raw?
Yeah,
I like sugar in the
I
raw.
talk about that in my book, but if you're going to have any kind of good sweeteners, I wanted to mention green leaf stevia is great. Totally raw organic honey is great. Maple syrup, organic maple syrup is phenomenal. It has a low glycemic index. It's incredible. It tastes great. It's really good in raw desserts. Great on, pancakes if you're using coconut flour and almond flour. But, these are great sweeteners, and you don't have to, coconut sugar, did I mention that? This is, if you're looking for a granulated sugar to break with, this is fantastic. These are fine.
This is fantastic. I love her. Thank you so much. You have such a plethora of knowledge. I love it. I noticed that on your Facebook page. Are you doing something with a thyroid?
Yes.
Something,
Yes.
I know a lot of people have thyroid issues too, and wasn't in my notes to ask you, but why do people struggle with thyroid issues, and is there a way to fix that?
Well, another topic that I love to speak of, I am doing a class. I also, besides my private practice, Heaven on Earth Healing Center, I do teach the past 8 years at Mount St. Mary's College, the Desmond campus for adult enrichment. And on Monday, I'm teaching a class called, it's a thyroid class.
And what state is that in?
This is, Newburgh, New York.
Okay.
Newburgh, New York. And the great thing about it is I also had thyroid issues. And whether you have nodules or you are missing a thyroid, because you had it removed for maybe cancer or because it was malfunctioning, or you're on Synthroid or any type of medication for your thyroid, you can still completely reverse it. You can definitely reverse thyroid condition. It all begins in the gut. It starts from a virus, from bad bacteria. But I want to say this, and I want to emphasize that whether you're healing your thyroid or anything that you're healing, you can't incorporate the good stuff until you remove the bad stuff. So that is one of the top suggestions tonight is to remove the bad stuff. We have to remove the cause foods so our bodies can heal, and then your body will assimilate the healing protocol much better and more efficiently.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Very, very good. And so, sleep.
Yes.
That's a big deal, right? Stress, sleep. I mean,
Yes.
I think people do talk about stress these days, and I think they think more about it. But how does stress affect the body negatively?
Well, we could eat the best foods on the planet, but if we're angry all the time, or we're stressed out, we're constantly complaining, or we're just doing too much, we're working too much, we're married to our jobs, and we're not creating balance, we're never finding time for us. This is important. I see a lot of my clients that'll, put everybody ahead of them. You are the number one priority. So by putting yourself first is one of the number one steps to releasing stress. Yes, you can go for massage therapy. I talk about it in the healing modalities section of my book. It is definitely a healing modality. Foot massage, reflexology, brisk walking, prayer. Prayer is a two-way communication with God. That is another wonderful way to relieve stress. Anger and unforgiveness. Please forgive. I know it's hard, but that also removes the poison out of our body.
Yeah.
You could eat the best foods on the planet, but if we're harboring any of that, we're going to be stressed out. Basically, prayer is number one. God will lead you to where you need to go. And put yourself first. If you take care of everyone else and put yourself last, you're gonna fall apart. You can't serve from an empty vessel.
Yeah, you'll be miserable.
You'll be miserable.
Yeah, that won't be good.
Absolutely.
And okay, exercise. What's your take on exercise? How much? What kind?
Okay.
How long?
Well, you don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to make exercise 100% of everything, because it's all about balance. And yes, we were created to move. We're not supposed to be sedative. We are supposed to move in a form that's healthy for the body. So brisk walking, light jogging, swimming, dancing. I love to dance.
Me too.
So this is a great exercise. Plus you're having fun. So this is awesome. But definitely brisk walking. I know when the weather gets bad and it's really cold, I personally am a summer kind of a girl, so I don't like the cold weather. You can get a rebounder. A rebounder is they're inexpensive. I talk about that in the book. There's a resource section that tells you what types I suggest. However, they can go in your house.
Yes.
And it's great for the lymphatic system. And exercise turns on your inner garbage disposal, allowing your body to detox. Isn't that wonderful? Because you're sweating and you're removing toxins. So that's a great way to start healing.
I'm glad you said the rebounder, because I have one and I've been using it forever.
Wonderful.
And I love it. I love it. That whole lymphatic system, the drainage of the body.
Drainage.
I love
You said it.
So, Tonijean, we only have a few minutes left, but can you share a success story with us of someone that you've helped? I mean, I know you've helped countless. She has helped countless people, and I mean with serious issues from cancer to lupus, eczema,
thyroid disease.
Thyroid disease. Tell us a success story that you've had.
Before I say, I want to clarify something. I don't heal anyone. I don't want any of the credit. Yes, I am a vessel. I learned the message of health the hard way, but God is definitely the foundation here. Absolutely. He uses me as a transmitter to help heal his people. That was the calling on my life. When I was sick and scared and I called out to God, he not only healed my body completely of all the various health conditions that I had that are explained in chapter 1 of my book, but he left me with extraordinary health and allowed me now to share the message with the world. And that's why I do what I do. So you heal yourself. I give you the tools. But some of the testimonies, there's so many, and it's hard for me to mention just one. But I will mention a young girl named Christina, and I hope she's watching. She had chronic eczema, and she is on my book. Her testimony is on my book cover. She had chronic eczema from 4 years old, and when I met her, she was only about 20, but she suffered for almost 20 years of her life. She scratched till she bled, and I have before and after photos, and she was in horrendous pain. She took so much time away from her life suffering from this eczema, prednisone every day. And when I met her, not only did she look like an alligator, literally, you couldn't tell how gorgeous she was underneath that, but she was, her liver and her kidneys were failing because of all the prednisone. And within 3 short months, her skin, after following the protocol that I tailored for her, she completely healed herself, and she looks absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And I will post those pictures later, but her skin is just perfect.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, and what an honor to see something. It makes you realize that what I went through at one time was all worth it when you see those kind of transformations.
All worth it.
Yes.
Well, Tonijean, I just want to mention Tonijean's book again. Stop Battling Disease and Start Building Wellness. She is She's a best-selling author. This book went to what you said. This book went to bestseller pre-launch before it even launched. That's how amazing this book is. And I'm telling you, this will be your go-to as well. I just want you to be able to see it. That's why I'm putting it up like that. So people can grab your copy of the book on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. And Tonijean, you also do consultations with phone consultations. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. She does phone consultations, and you also do the seminars. And how else can people? Well, how can they get in touch with you?
Well,
through your healing center.
Absolutely. The best way to contact me is to contact my office at area code 845-391-8639. It doesn't matter where you are, because I do telephone appointments for those that live in different states or are not well enough to come to the office. And I also do in-office appointments for those that do live in the area or don't mind traveling, because I'd love to see you. And remember, the book makes a great Christmas gift as well.
Yes.
The gift of health this holiday season.
Honestly, I would suggest getting a few copies, because people will thank you for this. This will be their go-to as well. What an honor it is to know you personally, but also to, that she took the time,
is mutual.
Out of your busy schedule to come and be with us tonight to impart to you, the gift of health. And like I said, she shared so much with us tonight. But also, this is a book. Honestly, like I said, it's in my office. It's my go-to. You don't want to be without it. I'm just saying. And when you get it, you'll understand. So if you're struggling with something, in your health physically, and maybe you've been to every holistic person out there, as Tonijean said, God is the source. God is our healer. But he puts people like Tonijean here on the earth to help you, to give you the tools, the natural, goodness that he's already provided on the earth for us, but you make it simple. That's what I love. You don't have to guess and try to figure it all out yourself. Tonijean can help you with that. So with that, Tonijean, I just want to thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Do you have any, we've got about 30 seconds, any last tips for anybody watching?
Yes, love one another. Anger and unforgiveness is definitely a deadly poison. It's like drinking poison, literally. So I just want to say, forgive one another. I know it's tough, but I really want to emphasize on that for a moment. The holidays are coming, and let families be together. And I just pray the blessings of extraordinary health upon every viewer watching right now. And I also pray that God leads you to the truth and to health, so you no longer, if you are, that you no longer suffer in your body, because there's no reason for it. God doesn't want us to be sick. He wants us to live well and extraordinary.
He came to give us life and life more abundantly.
Absolutely.
So thanks for watching tonight. Tonijean, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
We're going to have her back soon. So God bless you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you share the broadcast. If this has been a blessing to you, and I know it has, share it on every form of social media that you can. Let's advance the kingdom of God together. Let's help people to get healthy and to live victoriously. And Tonijean Kulpinski and I, we'll see you again soon, but thanks for joining us tonight, and I'll see you next time on the broadcast. God bless you.
God bless you.
Tonight. Good night.